Okay, so we're going to briefly revise some key summary sample statistics. Most of these you've seen before. Key idea, they all relate to samples. We're making descriptions of data we've got from a sample. And some of these you've met way back, even probably in primary school. The first is the sample mean. And basically you add all the numbers up and divide by the number of numbers. If we write that a little bit more formally, we conventionally write the sample mean as a lowercase Roman letter with a bar over it. So here we have an X bar, and the formula is telling us capital Greek sigma, sum all the data points X and divide by N. Add up all the numbers, divide by the number of numbers. Perhaps a new idea is the trimmed mean, and Q% refers to taking, say, the top and bottom 2.5% of biggest and smallest values, throwing them away and calculating the mean for the ones that are left. Take that even further and throw away all numbers above the middle, all numbers below the middle. We're left with the median, and you should be familiar with that from plenty of times before. We also need to know about variance. One technical measure is called the sample variance, and a conventional notation for this would be a lowercase s squared, and we again divide by the number of points, or n minus 1, one less than the number of data points, but for each data point we measure its distance from the mean, square it, add them together, divide to get the sample variance. Closely related to this, we have the sample standard deviation. This is quite simply the square root of the variance. So it's another technical measure that tells us how variable our data are around their typical value. Possibly a new idea is the residual standard deviation. When we're working with data on very different scales, sometimes it's convenient to use this. Happens a lot in heavy metal chemistry. And we basically just take the sample standard deviation and divide by the sample mean. Small point, variance has weird units because it's whatever data we had units squared. Standard deviation's okay, that's units, but the residual standard deviation, the units cancel out and it has no units.